topic, and we're going to be having Mr. Benjamin Sermi talk to us today about helping with isolation for the parents and seniors we're taking care for, and wanted to introduce our board of directors here for Loving Them Forward. We have myself, I'm one of the founders and the president, Christina Keys, and Debbie Fries is our marketing chairperson, and Miss Debbie Russell is also one of the co-founders and the treasurer, and Miss Linda Melton is our vice president, and Lori Massey is the most amazing secretary ever. And then we have Mr. Michael Harding. He is our veterans liaison chairperson. He handles all of our veterans resources and services and education for Loving Them Forward. We also have our advisory board, and on our advisory board sits Mr. Dick Halverson and Miss Dee Memmering and Laura Gazarian, who is also one of the co-founders of Loving Them Forward, and the wonderful Mr. Joey Yorchek. Okay, and Miss Amanda, would you read the Who is Loving Them Forward for us?
Absolutely. Who is Loving Them Forward? Loving Them Forward is a community of people that have been taking care of family members and seniors through life transitions, personally and professionally. We are committed to improving the well-being of caregivers in our community by providing free support, education, and resources while they care for seniors and loved ones. Family caregivers and seniors don't have to do it all alone.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, so we all have been introduced to me. Hello again. Christina Keys, Loving Them Forward. We're going to talk about our agenda real quick. And we are going to be talking today about staying connected with aging relatives. We'll talk about a few things afterwards, but we'll go ahead and get right into it. Let me introduce to you from Kelch Communities, the wonderful Mr. Benjamin Sermi, who's going to be talking about staying connected to aging relatives and dealing with some of the isolation and ways to work through that, not only as a senior or a family member who's caring for somebody, but also as a caregiver. So I'll go ahead and let you take it over, Mr. Benjamin.
Thank you. Hey, just a show of hands real quick. How many of you have already heard this presentation somewhere else, just so I know how to modify things? Anybody on the call? Oh, okay. I thought for sure, Bill, you had. I knew, I've seen you around, and I'm like, I know Bill's already. Okay, John has. Thank you, John. All right. Very good. All right. So real quick, before I get started, maybe I'd love to hear just what are some of the challenges you're seeing right now in the field with families struggling to visit their loved one, whether their loved one's living in a skilled nursing or memory care or living at home, but they're afraid to go visit them because they don't want to get them sick. Anything you're seeing right now?
I'll start. There is a lot more isolation for our clients at home. Family members are limiting visits, so fewer visits by far. A couple of our clients just literally just want to meet the caregiver at the door, maybe have their groceries dropped off or something like that. So it's really hard for them. They're just very frightened. And it's not true for everybody. Everybody's different, but we do have a couple that are very, very frightened of interaction. So we do video conferencing and that kind of thing, really try to just bridge the gap as best we can, do in-home visits by video and by Zoom. So it's tricky.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And this is, you were with a home care agency, correct? Okay.
Yeah, Home Instead, yeah.
Home Instead, okay. All right, who else? What are you experiencing right now? Bill, Amanda, Ramona, any thoughts on what you're seeing in the field?
Well, a little bit. I could piggyback on Kathy. I think that some of those fears are escalating, especially amongst seniors. A lot of the people in my neighborhood are seniors, and just their interactions, because I have adult children, they want to stay away from me. They're very cautious, and I can't take offense to it. I just feel like as things ramp up into fall, people are going to continue to be nervous. And I think we just need to continue to be respectful.
Yeah.
And we have a newcomer at the meeting. Jamie might have some good insight on that based on her professional experience. Jamie?
Hi, Jamie.
Thanks for calling me out on this one, Amanda.
Sure.
You know, I don't really have anything else other than what's been shared, because my clients have I've seen both ends of it. One, where clients are incredibly concerned and overly cautious, and they really understand the risks that are associated with COVID, and they want to limit their exposure. And then the other end of that are clients who just don't understand why everyone is so concerned. I have one gentleman who said to me, I lived through the Korean War. I fought in the Korean War. This little virus isn't going to get me. And I was like, Dave, this is a little bit different than wartime activities. Mm-hmm. So it's, you know, and I think for the most part, family members are the ones who are the most concerned, have been the most cautious. And so I think we just proceed as is. I've seen a lot of clients virtually to help accommodate for those who are really worried about being in person, but want to continue with social connection and engagement.
Bill.
I'll just add very quickly that I think it accelerates frustration, especially when you're talking about dementia, and the anticipatory grief, because they don't know if they will see them again in person before they die, or they don't recognize, they don't remember who they are. And I had one connection, actually, with the support, she's involved with the Alzheimer's Association, where their mother was in a care home and memory care, and she has Alzheimer's, and then she got COVID, and it was COVID that got her. She got sick from that, and they weren't able to say goodbye properly. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, again, we're all feeling isolated, but them especially vulnerable and scared.
Yeah.
I can give you a personal story.
Yeah, please.
I haven't seen my mother since January. And in that time, she didn't know me, but she knew she had a daughter, and she recognized my voice. So now it's September, and she's lost the ability to speak, and she doesn't know she has a daughter, and she can't FaceTime.
Ah.
So, and she's 3,000 miles away.
Yeah.
So I have been ready to buy tickets at any minute, but I can't go see her. And they've advised me not to come because their regulations could change. I could buy a ticket, fly out there, get there, and it's raining, and I can't see her because we have to be outside.
Gotcha. Okay.
I have it from the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. And Christina, you also mentioned to me in a conversation we had earlier that you're feeling like some of the family caregivers you're talking to, it's not just about staying connected to their aging relative, it's about staying connected to anybody. Is that true? Is that what you were telling me?
Right. We've had a lot of calls come in to Loving Them Forward who, you know, they're used to going to like the Hope Dementia Support Group. They can go to some of the online ones now, reaching out to people like Bill Cohen for support and things like that. Some of the local support, and even just the one-on-one time that they had with their friends to take a break from the caregiving has really been limited. And as caregivers, we have to, the things that we did for self-care, even if it was like going out to the store to get a soda, or, you know, going out to do our own grocery shopping, or just getting out amongst the world, we have to kind of quarantine ourselves because we're around somebody with a compromised immune system. And there's also a lot of stress involved. Like, for instance, my mother loved going out. I loved taking her out shopping or out to dinner as an activity, and we can't do those type of things anymore. So managing the emotions of isolation for my mother as a family caregiver and other family caregivers, there, you could just hear in the calls that I'm getting through Loving Them Forward that there's a lot more stress, like, what do I do? Because they're not getting that opportunity to connect with people. And so it makes it a little difficult to manage all of the emotions. And so I think it's really important, you know, how do we stay connected with our loved ones, but how do we as caregivers, you know, stay connected with the people who kind of keep us sane, you know, and, you know, how do we make sure to get on the Hope Dementia groups? How do we make sure to reach out to somebody like Bill Cohen, you know, to be able to stay connected and check in with us so we are fed enough and, you know, emotionally, like, equipped enough to deal with all the new emotions and feelings of isolation and the sadness that comes with becoming a nurse ourselves during COVID, because the doctors and healthcare system is not, we have to be very careful to take family members out. So I think it's tough for everybody right now to balance all of the emotions with the limited in-person resources that we have and the outlets that we used to have available to us. We just can't go there anymore.
Benjamin, this is John.
Yeah, hey, John.
Hey, John.
Yeah, villages, we serve a combination of elders themselves and some caregivers in some cases. And all we've been able to do really is to try to connect with frequent phone calls. We've actually had one in-person event that we were able to do at, we get together at the First Presbyterian Church on Main Street. They have a nice big parking lot, and we had an outdoor ice cream social. Everybody came, wore their masks, separated, and we actually, when we separated, we could see each other and we saw real faces. And that was a real big lift for people, just to be able to, even at a distance, see people. So events like that, I think, can help.
Definitely. That's great. And okay, well, this is really helpful to understand where everybody's coming from. So I think what I would like to share, what I prepared to share today, is tools that we may or may not know about because they're not mainstream tools that can help with staying connected, especially to an aging relative when we can't visit them. But before I go there, I want to touch on this issue that Christina brought up of how do you, well, not just Christina, but John and several others, Jen, of how do we stay connected, right? If we're caring for someone and we got to stay alone at home most of the time with them, and how do we stay connected? That's a bigger issue. Now, some of the tools I'm going to show can work for the family caregiver too, especially family caregivers who are not techie, right? That's part of why some family caregivers feel more isolated than others, is because they're not really into Zoom and it's not fun, or they don't know how to do it or set it up, and it's hard to really get into it, right? And so some of the tools I'm going to show you will help with that as well, but just a couple other things to consider. And I almost am tempted to show you a totally different presentation, because I'm doing a presentation on how independent living communities can stay engaged, how residents of independent living can stay engaged during COVID. And I've just got a bunch of pictures where I'm showing how you do it. If they have to stay in their apartment, how you keep them engaged. If they have to just use the hallways, how to keep them engaged, and then how to do small groups, and then how to do larger groups where you stage people. But a few quick things from that. If you know, there's a lot of memory cafes that are now online where a elder and their family caregiver together, they go to an activity together online. So for instance, I'm running one tomorrow morning that I've got to get ready for, where I'm taking a group of seniors who have dementia and their care partner on kind of a virtual travel experience. And so together we will go explore different countries. I'll be using virtual tours and Google Earth and various images from around the world, and we'll be discussing which places people have been before, right? So there's memory cafes like that in almost every state now, where you can go once a week and just see other people and have a kind of enriching experience, whether it's music, art, trivia, or some other kind of discussion group. So that's one area to consider, is joining something like that can be something we can do together while we're sitting at home. Another possibility is, and this would take a bit of like doing it with friends, but for instance, in our independent living communities at Kelsch, when we had to really shut down because of a COVID case in a building, we start what's called in-apartment programming. So what we'll do is we'll drop off a packet with fun things to do, but there's some sort of communal aspect to it. So for instance, we dropped off packets that had pictures of all the birds that are found in this city, right? And then the elders could sit on their back porch, and it was a bird bingo created by the Audubon Society, and they're competing with other people who are all in their own rooms, right? So you could kind of do that with a group of friends, where like you print it up and you hand deliver it to each person's porch, and then you guys, okay, we got a week, first person who gets it done, you know, is gonna get some fun thing, right? and then maybe you do a phone call with everybody afterwards and talk about what you experienced, right? That's an example of kind of creating community even when you're not together because you've all got a project you're doing. Another example is we handed out quilting squares that were paper or canvas that people could color, but they all were pieced together into one big quilt. So even though everybody was individually doing their one piece, we ended up creating one big quilt with those quilting squares. So it kept, again, that communal engagement. And this, again, you can do that with people who are living at home and you have 3 or 4 friends. You're like, hey, let's do something where we can all do it. And then we'll all bring it back together. Even though we won't see each other, maybe we're contributing, we're doing some community service project, which is another way to really build community is like one of our teams, the residents out in Arizona, they partnered with a local group that was handing out packs of snacks to kids in the local elementary schools. And so the elders would decorate and handwrite notes to 1,000 children, and all the snacks were packed in the paper bags that they had decorated and that they had written personal notes to each of these children, right? So even though, again, we're separated, we can do something positive together. And I think 2 final things on kind of the health self-care piece and how do you stay connected is, Zoom's not practical for a lot of people. And so just doing a conference line, I mean, there's free conference lines on the internet. You just go freeconferenceline.com, bam, you can give the number to your friends. You can play a game over the phone, right? Where maybe you've emailed everybody the piece, maybe it's bingo, let's say. You could do it over the phone, right? Have a bingo contest over the phone. You can have a discussion group over the phone. So much you can do over the phone. And then finally, like John was saying, having an event that is outdoors at the park where you're 20 feet apart, right? You're 20 feet apart and you're sitting in lawn chairs and maybe you have to use the phone to talk to each other, but you can see each other, right? And maybe you got some music playing and there's some things like that. So those are a few things. We could do a whole session just on how to build grassroots community that's physically distanced. But let me go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm doing that, any questions so far, further ideas after what I've just shared?
I don't know if Debbie told you guys that we're having a little donut giveaway in October in the parking lot there by Home Instead, by the mall. We're just gonna have people drive up. Can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'm sure she'll send out information on the days and times. We're kind of picking, 3 different 2-hour sections where we'll all kind of hand out donuts to caregivers and they can just drive up. So we're inviting all caregivers and we're getting little treats with the little gift bags. So it'll be fun.
Love it.
So, yeah.
And if you send us a flyer for that, we'll make sure to post that for you.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure Debbie will. She just, she's got better priorities right now.
Awesome. All right. So now let's really dive into this question. And again, you can still think about it both ways. I want to connect with my friends or I want to connect with an aging relative, either way. And you think about it as a professional, as I'm going to give you tools for the toolbox, right? Even let's say you're working for an organization, you might not pay for these tools, but these are the kind of tools you can suggest to a family you're working with. Or if you're a family member, these might be things that you consider purchasing, right? Or using, some of them may not have to purchase. So, but before I talk about some of those tools, I want to think about how there's some strategies for having good visits, period. Because it's one thing to let's say I need to visit someone virtually or through a window. It's another thing to actually make a great experience, right? Because I may be used to visiting my relative and we sit on the porch and we hold hands and we watch birds, but now I'm looking at them through a window or on a screen and it's not very fulfilling. It's not meeting me emotionally, right? And so sometimes we have to coach families on how to have a good visit. So for instance, instead of just saying, oh, Dad, how is it there? Are you eating enough? Hey, Dad, did you walk today? Did you take your medication, right? Okay, do you remember me? Right now, you just had a horrible visit. Instead, do things like what's on the screen, right? Share pictures with screen share, right? Or if you're through a window, hold the pictures up, right? Pictures of the grandkids as they're playing soccer, picture of the new dog, right? Whatever, you got a picture of something that they did years ago. Here's a wedding picture, right? Tell stories. Instead of asking questions, start telling stories about the past or about what's happening in your family, because that will often prompt memories and get the person talking to you. Give a tour. If you got screen share, right? You're at Whole Foods shopping. Do a screen share because they haven't been shopping in 7 months, right? And just even shopping with you could be fun for them, right? Show me, what do you want to get, right? Do you want this one or that one? Which of the micro brews am I going to bring home to you, right? Give a tour of the backyard, your garden. Ask good questions. Timeslips.org, timeslips.org has beautiful questions specifically designed for asking seniors. And these are questions that move beyond the how are you feeling and where were you born to things like, Dad, I have kids that aren't doing their homework. How do you get kids to do something they don't want to do, right? That's a question that is a bigger wisdom question, right? Ask questions like that get an elder to share their wisdom. Interview them. Say, I'm doing a newsletter. I want to ask you some questions about that time when you had a job at this place. Sometimes when it's more formal like that, you've got questions, and you're going to write down as they're talking. They're going to share stuff with you they wouldn't tell you if you were just having a chit chat. You're like, oh, Dad, remember that time? Oh, yeah, I remember. That was fun. Well, now you're asking them questions. You're writing it down. Now they're telling you details you may not have heard before. And then consider reading to them or giving them something in the mail that is big print that they can read to you. Because even with dementia, reading skills last a very long time and can be a very empowering thing for the elder. And then finally, many elders appreciate the opportunity to pray or be prayed for because they haven't been to church, they haven't been to their synagogue, they haven't had an opportunity to do this. And so doing that with them, if they're a spiritual person, may be a huge, huge deal for them. Now, before I talk about some non-mainstream tools, I want to look at some things that are more mainstream, but that we may easily forget about. So number one, non-tech tools, non-new tech tools, mail. Okay, even though we don't think about it, that's still a very effective way to stay connected. Even if they can't write back to us. If they can't write back to us, all the better. But postcards of cool pictures or just a letter means so much to this generation because this is how they communicated for many, many years. And many of them wrote yards and yards of letters over their lifetime. In-person visits, we can always ask, there's always a way to do it, right? There's always a way to do an in-person visit, even if the place where they're living says no. If you advocate hard enough, you can get an in-person visit. It's just going to be through a window, through a screen, or through some other method. There's a way to do it. And if not, you can get the ombudsman involved, right? Because there's always a way to do an in-person visit safely. Even if the person has to be moved from the 3rd floor down to a sunroom and they're going to sit, in front of the front door. I don't care. There's a way to do an in-person visit. Landline phone calls, of course, can continue to be a great way to stay connected with this generation. So let's not discount these things, even though we're going to talk about some new things. So new tech I'm not going to talk about today, but I want to remind us these are here for us and should be a part of our toolbox are the smartphone calls, the video chat, the texting, the email, and the sharing videos and photos. These are all proven things that can work great. I'm not talking about them today because if these were working perfectly, you wouldn't be on the call, right? I mean, the point is some of these don't work too well with seniors. Quick reminder, your likelihood of living longer goes up by 50%, or your likelihood of surviving is 50% greater than people who do not have people who have weak relationships in their life. I mean, we're talking about 50% likelihood of living longer, right? Loneliness is bad for us. It's 15 cigarettes a day. You've all heard that statistic. That's a big one. And then, of course, you can see on the screen all kinds of ways relationships help us or bad relationships hinder us, including delayed wound care. I mean, who would have thought that your wounds healing speed is tied to your social relationships? I mean, who would have ever made that connection? In California, researchers looked at over 1,200 women and found that 26% higher likelihood of a lower likelihood of getting dementia if you had a large social network, and 47% less likely to get dementia if you had daily contact with friends and family. So that tells you a lot about preventing dementia and its connection to keeping people socially engaged. I mean, that's no drug that's on the market or even under research has any chance of getting you a 50% less chance of getting dementia. I mean, that's just crazy how important social relationships are. And then OHSU did a really interesting study where they had people on the phone every day and then people on video chat every day. And they found out that both people with dementia and people without dementia, both groups, the video chat groups had cognitive improvement after only 6 weeks of doing video chats every day. The phone group did not have the cognitive improvement. Those that did have cognitive improvement, it lasted up to 18 weeks after the video chats. So that is also a very interesting thing to consider, is the power of looking at someone's face and how that impacts our brain. Now, what are some of the new age-friendly options, and how do I choose the best options? Because there's a lot of them. Well, I've organized some of the options into most complex, number one, to least complex. Most complex is I can use a tablet or smartphone. Least complex is I can literally do nothing except for lay or sit and not even touch a device, right? So I've got the whole spectrum there for you that I've put it in. You're also going to think about 2 factors with a person. You're going to think about how increased is their dementia, if they have any dementia, and at what point in their life did they start using some of the newer technologies like computers and smartphones. Those that started earlier in life will probably be able to use some of the newer technologies or more complex technologies, even if they've got some dementia, right? Those that didn't start using computers till they were 80, they're going to have a harder time potentially. So you want to think about that, because you might have a 50-year-old who can barely use a smartphone, but you might have a 75-year-old who actually programmed IBM computers in the 50s and 60s, right? And they're able to use a smartphone. So it's very dependent on the person. You've got to pay attention to those aspects. You're all going to ask the question, how often are helpers present in the home? Because that's going to impact which tools you pick. And how tech savvy are those helpers? Certain tools, you need someone to be in the home to put it back on Wi-Fi, right? Other tools, they don't need to be put back on Wi-Fi. You might need to be able to plug this in correctly every evening. Well, can the elder do that? Or do they need someone to help them? You're going to need to tease that out when making your recommendation. And then how engaged and driven are family and friends? Are the family members committed to scheduling a Zoom call? Or are they people who have busy lives and they really have a hard time scheduling themselves to be with grandma on a video chat at the right time? They're going to need tools where they're sharing pictures, videos, and photos anytime they want, and they end up at grandma anytime grandma wants, right? So you're going to need to pick based on what kind of family you're working with, and then where will the interaction take place? Are they sitting in their chair? Are they in bed? Are they in a hospital bed? Are they at the dining room table? Are they walking around the house? That's also going to play into which technologies you choose. Now, I'm not going to go into Facebook, Google, and Amazon very deeply today, other than to say all 3 of them have an option that many families will find very helpful. The Portal TV is a really cool option because you hook it up to the TV, it turns the TV into a video chat experience. They also have tablet size items. Amazon has the Echo Show, and Google has the Nest Hub Max. All 3 of them have an option for kind of video chat that's pretty senior friendly. The reason why I'm not going to go into those today is because 1, they're mainstream, so you already know about them. Number 2, many families will not want to use these because the reason why they have no monthly fee is because Google, Amazon, and Facebook earn a living through using people's data. And so some families just may not be comfortable with what are these companies learning about my mother? Is it safe? Can other people reach my mom? Could someone else befriend her on Facebook and get to her, right? How do I make sure I lock it down so only the 3 of us and her friend in Idaho can call her, no one else? You might be able to do it if you're tech savvy. You may be able to go into all the back settings and get everything just right. But for many families, that's just not possible. And so that's why I'm not going to go into these today. But if you're tech savvy, you trust one of these companies, this can be a great option to have in grandma's house. So let's look at the first most complex set of options that are age friendly. GrandPad, many of you have heard of this. It's very mainstream and it's now at Target. You can just go to Target and pick this up. It's a tablet. Home Instead actually uses this for many of their clients. And you can click on very big icons. It's more complex than many of the other things I'm going to show you in the sense that you can do more with it. So for seniors who can use multiple functions like getting on the internet, playing games, doing video chat, call, email, this makes all those functions easier and more senior friendly. Even email, they can talk to it and it will transcribe the email for them. You can see the buttons are really big, easy to use. They can call support quickly. They can dock it instead of plug it in. They can have a number of things, including asking for transportation with Lyft and a variety of other things, all available in GrandPad. GrandPad, I should say, is driven by Wi-Fi, not driven on Wi-Fi. It's a cellular network only. So it's through, I believe, Consumer Cellular. And what they do is they make sure every tablet connects directly to the internet through cell. So there's no dropping Wi-Fi. That way an elder never has to worry about knowing their Wi-Fi password. Bulb Phone is an example of how to change a smartphone to be more senior friendly. This is a free app and it changes a smartphone to have less small icons, larger icons, muted shades of color, and functions that many seniors would use, such as reminders to take medication, quick, easy SOS requests. Let me call my family really quickly. I need to see their face so I know exactly who I'm calling. This is free. I'm not going to go into all the smartphone options today because things like the jitterbug, etc., can also be age friendly. But typically, if you're using these, you probably don't need this presentation. Oscar Senior is kind of like GrandPad, just a different format. It also, you instead of buying the tablet, you're using any tablet you already have, and you just pay for the service on your tablet. It is Wi-Fi versus cellular, and it will do the similar things as GrandPad. Many of the options I'm showing you have a family app, like what you're seeing right now, where the family can control what is on grandma's app. That way grandma only sees the apps that the family are willing to help her with. If grandma's ordering way too much on Amazon, she's 93, she doesn't know what she's quite doing, and she's ordering tons of the same Blendtec mixers, maybe she should not have access to that app, right? The family can control that remotely. GrandCare has a similar option to GrandPad and Oscar Senior. I think the buttons are a little too small and maybe the not right colors for my taste. But what they do is offer a lot of sensors. And so you're able to check grandma's O2 levels, diabetes, insulin, glucose measuring, thermometers, weight, things like that. And it all feeds into the same system. FamilyNet is free. This is for someone who can actually still navigate getting on a computer and at least clicking a button to get to the right website. But FamilyNet is designed to make kind of a little family network that's very senior friendly, big print, translatable, where if I speak Japanese, my granddaughter doesn't, she understands me, I understand her. It's built to have people with hearing and vision problems. It'll either read speech or it will turn speech into to text. So it makes it easy for people who have trouble navigating a typical website. Together.fun is an option for families, especially those with dementia. And we're going to pilot it at our Canterbury Gardens community up in Longview. We have a grant to do this for 6 months. I love this. So you all know with dementia how powerful music is. All right, so this company started in Israel, and what they wanted to do was make it easy using artificial intelligence to figure out what were grandma's favorite songs. So it will watch grandma's face, it will look at her, it will figure out what songs make her happy, what songs make her want to dance, and it will, over time, figure out her favorite types of music. Well, they added just a few months ago the option for now family members to experience the music with their loved one remotely. So I'm in Florida, my dad's in California, I can see him, he can see me, and we're both listening to the same music at the same time. So even though my dad has dementia, I can now have a good connection with him. Even though he's not talking to me as much and I can't carry on a normal conversation, we can listen to music together, even though I'm in a different state or I'm outside his window. Either way, I can still have a great connection point with my dad he's got dementia. It's mild or advanced. So I really like this. I'm excited to pilot it. You can see the prices are all over the place with these things. The Together app I just showed you, it's a $99 one-time fee. GrandPad is $250, one-time cost $40 a month. So you have a variety of options for different price points and different needs. Now I can navigate a tablet by voice. So what I mean by this is, let's say that Echo Show I showed you earlier, where it's a screen, it's built by Amazon. Well, let's say I want to navigate that by voice. Well, you can do it right out of the box, or you can use something like SoundMind. SoundMind is designed specifically for the senior marketplace. So it's designed to, number one, curate the kinds of activities a senior would enjoy doing. So they can play Jeopardy over voice or looking at the screen. They can have reminders telling them it's time to exercise, take pills, be ready for the doctors, take a trip down memory lane where you've kind of fed in pictures and music ahead of time, and it will prompt the elder and get them thinking about their past, even though you're not there to do it with them. And it's ready out of the box. That's the coolest thing about this is, let's say my dad is in Florida, I'm in Washington, he's totally non-techie. I call up SoundMind, I get all of his Wi-Fi passwords and everything in there ahead of time. The box ships, it's programmed out of the box. All he's gotta do is plug it in and it starts talking to him. Hey, would you like to call your son? Right? Done. He had to do no setup other than plug it in. So for that alone, this is a really neat option. BrioCare does similar things. Both of them are $20 a month to have this Alexa skill built into the Alexa Show. Now I can navigate a TV with a remote. I think this one is probably way underused. I think too often we're trying to get seniors to use a technology that they never used before. Why not use a technology that they've been using for the past 50 years, right? The TV was the way seniors engaged in their world. It's how they got their news. It's how they knew what was going on in the local community. It's how they stayed entertained. It's how they stayed informed, educated, maybe even went to church on TV, right? The TV was how you lived your life. Today we have a smartphone. That's how we connect with the world. But for many seniors, it was their TV. Why not use their TV? So there's several options now commercially available. Cradle is one of them. It's one of the simplest. I like Cradle probably out of all of them the best. Look at that remote control, 4 buttons. Right? You need simple. You can't get much simpler than Cradle. It's a yes or no. All you're answering is X for no, check for yes. It gives you one option at a time and you say yes or no, right? So really, really simple for seniors to use. It's got the camera on top. It's got a little box that takes over the TV. So when you're watching your favorite show, you'll get a message that pops up saying, hey, your son wants to talk to you. And you can click yes or no. You'll get a message comes up, your doctor's appointments now, time for your doctor. Your doctor can pop on your screen, right? You can have activities, right? You've got a group of friends. You can set it up so that you can go to the page and at 4 o'clock for Zumba, you can be with other people. They can see you, you can see them, or you can just see your Zumba teacher and you can participate in life right from your TV. So Cradle's really cool. It's very simple. It's out of the UK. It's not even available in the US yet. I think I'm getting my first shipment of these to cascade in mid-October because we'll be, I think, the first US company to try it. But really cool. Hey Herbie is similar. This is what you would get out of the box with Hey Herbie. And this other company has another similar product. It's Independa, also does a great job. I really like them as well. Their remote's a little more complicated than I like, but they've really thought through it. They've been here since 2014. They have thought through their system. Their system is plug and play, ready to go out of the box, send pictures, send videos right to the loved one's TV, so it's playing. Even if you can't do a video chat, they can see videos, pictures from the family all over the country just playing on their TV, as well as having live conversations and reminders to that television set. Uniper, they're currently only available if you have a large organization, a home health, home care, senior living, area agents on aging. Their focus is creating a bunch of content where the senior can interact with their TV with different experiences, many of them live experiences where people are seeing you, you're seeing them, and you get to stay connected to other people through your television set. Finally, you'll see the prices, right? You're looking typically at about $150 for the setup. and then a monthly fee that ranges from like $15 to $75 a month, depending on which option you're choosing. I can push 1 to 2 buttons on a screen. Okay, TV's too hard. I'm sorry. It's just too hard for me. I can't follow all those remote control things, and it's too many options on the screen. Okay, well, let's look at these options. So Comp has created an option for doing video chat, and you just got to dial. There's just a dial. It's so simple. It's out of the Scandinavian countries, and it should be available in the US pretty soon. And Soci Avi was designed specifically for this purpose. It is a tablet, but on a stand. It's kind of the stand's built into it, so you never lay it down. It's always standing up. There's a family app, and it's really just one click, and the video chat starts. I mean, it's really dead simple, really dead simple. You will also permit reminders to be sent to the screen, as well as pictures and videos. And this is what the family app looks like. So you can kind of see what you would do as a family member to interact with their tablet. Connect, similar to Sociavi, they're neck and neck competitors. However, I think Connect has maybe done a little more around some of the accessibility features. So for instance, it's supposedly really loud. It will automatically answer in an emergency. It's got multiple languages. It's also, you can see the big print pictures, so you can know exactly who to call. That's what you would answer. Speech to text. So, okay, it's loud, yes, but what if really hard of hearing? Well, I can just talk, they can see my face, and they can see what I'm saying, right? So they've really thought through, how do we make this accessible? This is also one of the only products on the market where you don't have to use a human finger to control it. Most devices, including your smartphone, are designed for human fingers or a stylus pen only. This, you can use a gloved hand on the screen. You could use a pencil. You could use a stick, right? And it's going to work because I really wanted it easy for anybody with any mobility challenges to be able to use the thing. And then finally, ViewClicks. This is a local company. It's out of Lake Oswego, and it's a little bit more like a Wi-Fi picture frame, but it's built to have video chat. And so again, this is a little cheaper option than the other two, but it's a local option and has a similar kind of family app. So you can see there the prices, and I'll be sending Christina a link to this slideshow afterwards in case you want to go back through and look at the prices and stuff. I can answer a phone. Okay, I can't do all that other techie stuff, but I can still pick up a phone. All right, let's think about that. Okay, so first of all, let me say, sometimes there's good intentions around that, but it doesn't actually happen, right? You got 12 grandkids, 3 kids, and nobody calls grandma. They're all busy lives, hard to get the schedules aligned. So Family Jam has solved that. And this is no app necessary. There's a website, you go and you put the family's phone numbers. And then what it does is it learns the family's patterns, and it calls grandma and it calls the grandson at the same time they're available, because it learns that grandson takes calls on his way to work from San Jose to San Francisco, and it learns grandma likes to take calls when she just got out of the bathtub around 9 a.m. every morning, and it calls both of them at the right time, right? And so Family Jam keeps families and the senior connected using artificial intelligence to remember to call grandma once a month or once a week, however you set it up, at a time when she likes and a time when you like. It's super cheap. Telecom, this is for helping the senior also get to call out. So many times we take phones away from a person with dementia because they're calling 911. They're calling repeatedly. They're calling the wrong people. They're calling the home shopping network. It's really annoying to get the same call every 5 minutes. I want to go home, I want to go home, right? So Telecom solved that. This is a substitute for your phone service, and it does all the things you see on the screen. Stop them from calling 911, or they'll text you if they make it to 911. They will set quiet hours so they can't call you after 10 o'clock at night. Or if they've called you 5 minutes ago, they've got to wait 2 hours before the phone will ring for you, right? They've really thought through how to make sure it's safe to have a phone in the home for a person living with dementia. I recommend using a phone like this. It's like 20, 30 bucks online, where they can see a picture of the person they want to talk to, or you can put their name there so they're not having to remember any phone numbers. Also recommend, if you ever have to use a smartphone with someone living with dementia, consider buying a $10 attachment. We've done this in several of our memory care communities when the elders just were not doing video chat with their loved one. We plugged this in and all of a sudden they started talking to their loved one because this made sense to them. Having that thing on their ear told them, I'm on the phone. Looking at a piece of a, at the screen, they didn't know what that meant. So you can see it's $15 a month for Family Jam, $50 a month for Telecom. I can read or look at printed photos. All right, I can't do any of this tech stuff. This is all too complicated for me. Okay, we've got something for you too, all right? I can read or look at printed photos. So Familio, I'm piloting this in Montana, and we're getting just amazing results so far. So here's how it works. Instead of video chats, phone, all this other stuff, how about grandma gets a printed color magazine every Monday? How about that? And what's filling this color magazine? Only pictures from her family, messages from her family, all automatically done and mailed to her. And so she gets this beautiful magazine every single week. The family, all they got to do, talk about crossing the digital divide. This is a perfect example. You got paper for the senior, app for the family, right? So the family might be all over the United States, and we've got one resident whose family's in Japan, right? And so half her family's in Japan, half her family's here. They're all sending messages to her through this magazine now. They just upload pictures from their photo album or from Facebook right into the app, and it turns it into a magazine. This is what a magazine looks like. They can see who put messages in there. They can see only 2 pictures per page, so it makes it real big, and then 2 messages per page and who sent that message. So really neat option if you need to be more paper-based for some seniors. Love it, just love it. And typically we're seeing in France was where this comes from, they're seeing about 8 family members per person usually participate. So far in America, we're seeing about average of 5, although I have one family with 13 family members all on the app sending messages to their one grandmother. So really, really fun option. This one, it ranges on based on how much you use it. If it's once a month versus 4 times a month, the price changes. And that's the street cost. It's a little less if you order for a whole community of people or a whole client base. And then finally, I can receive messages that play automatically. Okay, I cannot read, I cannot do anything. I'm in a hospice bed, right? I don't even know how to use technology at all. I can't use my hand. Okay, well, the 3 we talked about earlier, the one on Lake Oswego, which is ViewClicks, Sociavi, and Connect, all 3 can be set up so that they answer after like 20 seconds. So you get a 20-second ring, beep, beep, right? It shows the picture of who's calling, and then they automatically show up on the screen. So I can be literally in a hospice bed, not able to do anything, and they're next to me, my family's calling in, they're praying for me, they're singing to me, they're telling me stories, they're showing pictures, and they're with me throughout my entire dying journey, right? They're still able to be with me anytime that they want. So that's a feature that all 3 of those offer. So I'm not gonna go through all the bonus options because they're not very applicable today. Any questions about what we just kind of went over?
That was awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing. A lot of great resources.
Oh, I have Amanda, you said one of your Hope support group members uses Familio.
Yeah, actually, and her dad is at one of your buildings.
Oh,
So, yeah, but they love it, and she was explaining it to me, and I want to get that message out to the other people in my group.
okay, very cool. Oh my gosh.
Benjamin.
Yes.
There's another option that one of my support group people told me about where it's a version of Alexa, which is a drop-in
Oh, yes.
aspect where the parents or the loved one don't have to do a thing. It just pops open automatically. The family member just calls and it just opens up
That's
with
right.
a camera and everything else. So
Yes, that is absolutely right. Alexa does have a drop-in feature. I need to start mentioning that. Thanks for the reminder.
no problem.
Any other thoughts on either what was your favorite tool or how you could see this applied with the people you work with? Any thoughts?
I just want my family to send me things through. Is that wrong?
Right. Right. Well, I thought that was a great way the whole presentation was amazing. So many options for so many levels and different kinds of communication. But, you know, right now we're doing immediate family, just mom's kids and things like that. And I thought, you know, something like the Familio, I could engage aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers of hers, where they could just simply do it, you know, from their phone. And that would be a great treat for mom, where she's not getting that communication now. So a lot of those options are just great ways to engage more than just one or two family members. So.
Even with pretty advanced dementia, I have the team in Montana sending me a few videos of how their residents are responding. And I saw one lady laying on her back, right? She's not even up. She's laying on her back. She's not making much sense, but as she's looking at it, she says, "Tell them they can't overdo it." That was her way of saying, "Send me more, send me more." I love that.
Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Benjamin. That was,
Yeah,
I always, you know, when you're the presenter, I always know it's going to be amazing, but that was really, really wonderful. So many options to be able to look at for different folks, and to keep family members connected, to keep caregivers connected, to keep extended family connected, no matter what situation people are living in, and no matter what medical level that they're at, or health level they're at. So I just want to say thank you so much for all of that great information. It's always a pleasure. Thank you. And we'll make sure that this particular presentation is going to be on our YouTube page. We'll also post the link to the YouTube presentation on the Loving Them Forward Facebook page, our Instagram, and LinkedIn. We ask that if you want to stay connected and hear about more of these great topics, or be a part of the Loving Them Forward community, to find resources, events from all of our community partners, that you like the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and the LinkedIn page, not only for you to have that, but to let people know about it. And if you can go to the next slide. Thank you. And we are a nonprofit, and we are 100% volunteer based. All of our funds goes to making sure that we have the funds to, you know, have a Zoom account, to have a website that has the resources, to get the things we need for the fundraisers or for the caregivers. And so if anybody would like to make a donation, you can go right to our website, to the lovingthemforward.org page, and there is a donate page. And just so you know, every dollar matters. Even if it's $1 or $5, that is huge, and it helps out the family caregivers and the seniors in the community. We thank you for the donations that have come in. And I also wanted to just give a big shout out to, the next slide has quite a few of our sponsors and supporters on that. Loving Them Forward is not just our board and our advisory committee. We are a collective of many amazing organizations and businesses and foundations that help out seniors and family members in the community. We are together trying to make a difference in their lives. And it's people like Home Instead, Bill Cohen, Hope, the Lipinski team, CDM, Two Men in a Truck. There's so many, Norco Medical, Mortgage Express, Couch Communities, Meals on Wheels, so many. This is just a few of them, and they're there to help you in the community. They're the people who, when you call the Loving Them Forward hotline, these are some of the people that I'll be recommending that you reach out to, and that are there for you to help you on your journey. And we just want to thank you so much for joining us today. You know, we couldn't do this without you guys, and we really want to be able to help the seniors and caregivers in Clark County here. And we couldn't do it if it wasn't us doing it together. So thank you so much for being a part of Loving Them Forward and joining us today.
Thank you all.